All right, guys. This week on Hoy Boy Garage, we got the NP435 installed on the old Bronco here. Unfortunately, I did not film any of the transmission going in or the automatic coming out, mainly because I don't have enough storage on my iPhone, which is what I'm using to film off of. So I apologize for that right now. We're going to go ahead and give you a little walk around of what I learned and what's going to need to be addressed yet and how everything went to go. So we'll get into it. So the NP435 is installed. We learned some things, but most importantly, I got to fix this fuel return line here. There's a little plastic fitting that goes in the end that clips onto this hose here, or this steel line. It broke off. You can't get a new one apparently, so we're gonna have to get creative on that. But the NP435 is installed, and it's officially a 4-speed Bronco. Excuse me. Fun fact, the AOD automatic transmissions cross member and transmission mount, I'll crawl underneath there here in a second, all bolts up in place on the NP435. We ran an 11-inch clutch kit from Luke. As you can see here, everything's bolted up back into a factory location. I got to finish hooking up the four-wheel drive shifter linkage. That wiring harness connector that's hanging down there is for the push button full drive. We're just going to zip tie that up along the frame and just kind of forget that it's even existing. I got to pull the transmission cooler lines off from the automatic. I got a coolant leak that's developed somewhere. I got to figure out that. Obviously got to hook up all the wiring that's along here. Full drive shift lights, reverse lights, and that sort of thing. It might just get zip tied up out of the way for now and forgotten about, because for what we're going to use this thing for, we're not going to worry about reverse lights or a four-wheel drive shift light. We'll know it's in full drive. One of the next things to do is going to be ditching these automatic locking hubs in favor of some actual lockouts. I have a Dana 60 rear axle out of an E-Series van that we might try to throw in the back of this thing. I have a Dana 60 up front. And yeah, I'll talk about that here a little bit more. Okay, welcome back. Sorry, took a couple days. We had some family stuff go on my wife's side of the family. So I've been out of the shop for a few days. Previously, I was talking about the fact that I apologized for not filming the installation of the NP435 into the Bronco and all that stuff, discussing about how my iPhone is my primary source of videoing. I actually looked at some GoPros. I need to just pull the trigger on something. Excuse me. But towards the tail end of the past video clip, we were talking about axles. So I have a Dana 60 solid front axle out of an OBS Ford pickup that's sitting out back. It needs a few parts. It's a good candidate for a 1-ton swap in the Bronco. It needs outers. It needs probably re-geared. I believe it's a 355 ratio axle. And it has none of the suspension components on it, which is the perfect candidate to cut all the leaf spring hanger stuff off and go to a 4-link on coilovers. This is a completely budget project. That's got to be stated very clearly here. Recently, I posted on a Facebook group about the Bronco and said it's a budget project. I'm looking at putting it on 1 tons, this, that, what have you. And somebody goes, well, budget and coilovers don't go together in the same sentence. While that might be true, if I decide to go forward with a 1-ton axle swap on this, I want it to ride not like a covered wagon. However, I'm going to look into like what options I could have as far as leaf spring front suspension that would work the best while giving it a good ride and good articulation for rock crawling. I have a Dana 60, I believe, rear axle. It's out of an early 2000s E-Series 1-ton van. It's an 8 on 6.5 bolt pattern, factory disc brakes. I haven't looked at it here in a while to see, you know, is it a 9.75 ring gear, or is it a 10.5 ring gear, or 10.25? That I'm not real sure. I also have a Sterling 10.5 as well. That's not disc brakes, it's drum brakes, but it's also 8 on 6.5 pattern. So we might go to a 1-ton axle swap. I might just throw a rough country 4-inch lift kit on it and call it a day. And then re-gear the Dana 44 and the Ford 8.8 that's out back. I haven't decided yet. This is the kids' project Bronco. I want to make that kind of clear. It's something that I'm going to drive as a daily until my kids get to the full-on driving age. And then at that point, they'll take over driving it. But that being said, this makes it the third Bronco that I've owned. I owned a 94, an 84, and this 90, which we're going to make it look like an 84. And I've always wanted to have a rock crawling trail rig, adventure rig, if you will, for a long time. That's part of the reason I bought the 84. I had sold the 94 Bronco that I had years before my wife and I got together, and the kids were even in the picture. Next thing you know, married, got a couple kids. We bought the 84, had that for a while, was in the process of doing the power stroke swap, never got it finished. Time, money, all sorts of things were going on in my life that ultimately I pedaled it down the road, kind of regretted that decision. And 3 years later, we have this 90 Bronco that we're kind of starting over from scratch with it. The NP435 has got a granny low first gear, which is going to be great for crawling. It's got an NP208 transfer case on it, which is going to be fine. We're going to run it until it grenades. Then I'll put a 205 in it. But most importantly, I'm trying to figure out axles and suspension. I want this thing to be on about a 40 or a 35-inch tall tire, 37. I don't know that I'm going to quite go to a 40-inch tall rubber. It's awfully big, and I don't know that I'm going to get the suspension and everything dialed in. If I go to a 37 or a 40, I'm going to want the 1-tons. But I think between a 35 and a 37 is where I'm landing right now. What I want end goal is something that's super capable in the rocks on some like hardcore trails, but yet is still manageable to be a driver. That's the goal. Is something that's super capable off-road, yet not so overly built that you can't drive it anywhere. We have discussed as a family the direction that we want to go with the Bronco. Obviously, I love my full-size Broncos. Eventually, someday, I hinted at this in the original video when we bought the Bronco, I want to find myself an International Harvester Scout, a good one, one that doesn't need just copious amounts of repair, which is probably going to be a later on down the road kind of thing. But the end goal is something that my kids can drive. They can learn to go wheeling in it. I can get out there and go wheeling with it myself. I want to go to King of Hammers. I want to take it, not wheeling at King of Hammers, like during King of Hammers, but Johnson Valley, I wouldn't mind doing some wheeling there. I want to go on the Rubicon Trail. I want to take it to Moab. I want to go out to the Pacific Northwest and do some off-road trails up there. Maybe even in like the Idaho and that sort of area. But I also want to be able to take it to like Bronco Super Celebrations, that sort of thing, your local cars and coffee events, whatnot. But I want to be able to keep it as a daily as well. I want to be able to like the kids can drive it to high school. They have something that's super unique and cool in the parking lot, something that nobody else is going to have. And so I want that perfect blend, and I don't know exactly where it's going to land. There's a lot of things that we got to work on getting towards on the project. Obviously, we're not doing the bullnose front clip swap until next winter, when I've had a chance to collect all the parts that I need and hopefully have some more shop space. And then, of course, the axle swap stuff, I'm still doing a boatload of research on that because I want it done efficiently and correctly. So I don't want to just kind of dive in head first without really knowing what I'm doing, which is kind of what happened with the old 84 Power Stroke Bronco we were working on, which is part of the reason why I ended up going down the road, is because it was kind of thrown together with no real direction of what we wanted to do. So right now I need to crawl underneath the Bronco. I need to measure out the drive shafts, make sure that I order the right lengths, because that's pretty much the stopping point I'm at. And then just button the interior up. I've gotten everything else pretty well taken care of. Just a few minor things. I don't know that I'm gonna film any of that. This might be the final video on the Bronco for now, until I get GoPros and can set up cameras and actually film longer stuff, get it onto a laptop where I can do the time lapse stuff, speed footage up, because I don't know how to do all that stuff on an iPhone. I'm still learning, so bear with me. But as we progress on the project, I want to try to film more of it. I want to try to get better at doing the YouTube thing. And I would like to start kicking out videos once a week, either dropping them on a Friday or a Saturday. But yeah, that's where we're at. This is kind of the wrap on this video. The NP435 4-speed's installed. Transfer case is installed. I just basically got to put the interior back in, and I got the seats laying over there right now. Put the interior back together, throw drive shafts in it, get it up to an exhaust shop, get the exhaust buttoned up on it, and put some miles on it. Make sure everything's copacetic, running good, doing the deal. And then we're going to start moving into, rewiring the back window motor to the switch, getting all that figured out so that that works like it should. And then I got to get out to South Dakota to my buddy Colton's place, get the bullnose fenders he's got a set for me, which I think is the final piece of the puzzle for that. And yeah, just getting it out, getting it in, enjoying it, figuring out game plan, talking with the kids, figuring out what direction they want to go with it, because I have my ideas, they have theirs. They're getting to that age where they're really interested in certain things. And so ultimately, I don't want to build something for myself. I want to build something that they want to drive and they want to learn how to do stuff in, but yet, I have my influences that I would like for them to, for the direction that they want to go. I would like to see it on 1-tons. They are kind of not sure. They've watched enough Dirt Every Day with me to know that like Dave Chappelle and Fred Williams, they like what they did on Dirt Every Day, and we watch the Dirt Head Shed on YouTube every time Dave drops a new video. And now that Dave's got a Blazer, it's kind of like, well, let's see what he's going to do with that, because maybe that's something that ends up on 1-tons and 40s, and maybe that's the direction we go. Maybe he drops it and it becomes a slammed air ride deal. I don't know. I'm not going to go that route with the Bronco. I want an off-road rig. So yeah, that's going to wrap up this video, guys. Thanks for tuning in this week to Hoy Boy Garage. I appreciate it. Please, if you feel like it, follow along. If not, I can understand. My videos are not really that great right now. I'm still learning. So that's it for this week. Catch you guys on the next one.